Hey everyone, Mike Mulligan here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am a certified orientation and mobility specialist, and today I will be demonstrating the most popular white cane technique, which is two-point touch. Let's get to it. So before I get into my step-by-step demonstration, I just want to preface this video by saying this video is really geared to be a review of the two-point touch technique. It's not meant to replace meeting with an orientation and mobility specialist, because meeting with a specialist in person, if at all possible, they'll be able to give you feedback on if you're doing the technique properly or not, and that's really important for safety. So two-point touch technique and its variations such as constant contact, touch and slide, which I'll cover in future videos, are really the go-to cane technique of choice. This is the cane technique that is used most often, probably up to 90% of the time by most people, and it's a great way of traveling in uncontrolled, unfamiliar areas. So places you've never been, you're not quite sure what objects or terrain is there. That's really what two-point touch is made for. What makes two-point touch such a great white cane technique in unfamiliar, uncontrolled environments is that it does a great job of protecting the entire body from objects past the left and right shoulder, and it also does a good job of telling the differences in surface texture or a change in surface. So if the ground changes, say there's a drop off or a curb, two-point touch is a great way of detecting that change in surface. And then finally, the last thing I want to mention before I go out and give you a step-by-step demonstration is that this two-point touch technique is really a crucial technique, and it should be learned by everyone. Sometimes there's modifications needed, and an O&M specialist will be able to tell you that. But this technique is what is used most of the time and should be really practiced and learned until it becomes second nature. So let's get into the demonstration. Let's do it. Okay, so now I'm going to start my demonstration here of how to do two-point touch using the white cane. And the first step, or step one, is to get the cane into index finger grip. So I'm going to demonstrate that now. I have my cane out in front of me. My hand is in index finger grip. And if you need a little review on index finger grip, please check out my previous video where I go into more details about it. But right now I have my hand in index finger grip. My index finger is extended straight, facing down the shaft of the cane. My cane is facing 12 o'clock. And one thing I just want to note here is that when you're holding the cane index finger grip, you want your thumb to be facing the ceiling, and you want the back of your hand to either be facing left or right. So if the cane's in your right hand, the back of your hand is facing the right. And if you're holding the cane in your left hand, the back of your left hand is facing the left. So that's really how you should be holding the cane in index finger grip. You don't want it this way where my palm is facing the ground and the back of my hand is facing the sky, or the opposite where the palm is facing the sky and the back of my hand is facing the ground. So it really should be like you're shaking somebody's hand. That's a good way to picture how to hold the cane in index finger grip. Okay, now for step two is after you have the cane in index finger grip is figuring out where to put your hand with the cane. So you don't want the handle of the cane being by either your right or left pocket. The goal is to have the cane midline, or as the center of your body as you can. And the reason for that is when I demonstrate in a second how to sweep the cane left or right, or how wide the arc width should be. If you're too far to one side, it makes it a lot harder to get proper sweeping width or arc width to cover the entire body. So the hand should be center of the body or midline, and it should be about 12 inches away from the body. If it's too close, if you get stuck in something, that's going to jab you right in the belly, and you don't want too far away where you're leaning forward or leaning over. So it should be about 12 inches away from the belly. Another way to picture this is if you're reaching out to shake somebody's hand, you normally extend your hand out in front of you. Now we come to step three, sweeping the cane left and right. So when you're sweeping the cane, the goal is to be using just your wrist flexion, not to use your elbow or shoulders to move the cane. And when you're sweeping the cane, the goal is to tap left and right. And you can picture this as a clock face. So if the cane is pointed straight ahead, that's 12. When you're tapping 11 and 1, or 1 or 2 inches past each shoulder. And also when you're sweeping the cane, you want it to only come off 1 or 2 inches off the ground. If it's too high like this, then it leaves you vulnerable to a lot of obstacles that the cane would just kind of bounce over. And when you're sweeping the cane left and right, 11 and 1, the goal is 1 inch or 2 past each shoulder, because if you're sweeping too wide, you're going to be getting caught on a lot of obstacles you don't want to. And if you're sweeping too narrow, it's very easy for an obstacle to catch you in a shoulder. So that's the basics of sweeping the cane doing two-point touch. So now we come to the fourth step, which is putting the first three steps together and actually start moving. So here the main thing I want to point out is when you start your travel, you want to be what's called in step. So that means tapping the cane the opposite side of which foot is going forward. So when I start out, if I start out with my left foot, I want the cane to be tapping to the right. And then when I step forward with my right foot, the cane should be tapping to the left. And that really gives optimal coverage. And I'll cover this more in detail in a future video of how to practice this and learn this. But when you start moving, the goal is to be in step to give yourself full protection. And just make sure you keep sweeping your cane 11 and 1 or 2 inches past each shoulder. And this really takes some practice, but once you get it, you'll be doing great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this video review demonstration was helpful, learning about the 2-point touch. Please stay tuned. I will have videos that will talk a little bit more about the different variations to the 2-point touch, which I mentioned earlier. So if you want to be alerted when those videos are coming out, please subscribe. And if you hit that little bell button or click that little bell button, it'll alert you when a new video is available. And thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day.